Hey everyone, welcome to my second video. Today we're going to be going a little bit further into Portainer and how we can use this tool to create and manage Docker containers and how this tool can eventually become the backbone of your entire home lab. So if you haven't watched the previous video, we had set up Docker and Portainer on a Raspberry Pi, got everything connected and hooked up. And I just left you there as Portainer is kind of a tool to just get started, and it can be pretty easy, but some people had some questions, so I figured making a follow-up video to go over how to manage and actually like work with the tool a little bit further to make your lives easier. So first, we've already created it, the Docker container from the last video, and it's up and running. We've connected with our username and password, and now we're here. We can't really see any containers or anything. We see that this thing has a container, so we can click into it. Or if you ever find yourself lost where this sidebar isn't here and you don't see any containers, you might have accidentally disconnected or clicked this. So what you want to do is just go find this and hit live connect. But now that we're here, let's get to the good stuff. Let's go right to containers. We're going to see that we only have one container because that's the container that we had deployed from Docker. So what can we do with this? First off, we can just click into it and it kind of just gives us a whole overview of what is like the ID of this, the name, all like the general basic stuff. When was it created, its start time, like its recent start time, et cetera, et cetera. Who owns this? Where was it pulled from? And then even some further stuff like the port configuration, like how can we actually access this? So like the home address of 000, port 8000, and the same thing with port 9000. That's the standard port that you'll see here to enter your your Portainer container. You'll also see some other things like the entry point and like where the path is stored and where all of the data will be eventually stored, like here as well. And then you can also see the restart policies. So if the Portainer container has stopped or if it's failed, it will automatically try to restart itself and continue to stay up and running. Otherwise, you could set to other things like where it's always running, always restart no matter what, and then you can always do this one as well where it's restart unless stopped. So if like your one of your containers is having some issues where it keeps crashing on startup and you're trying to troubleshoot it, you can set it to this unless stopped, stop the container, tinker some files around, and then click update, restart the server, and then it shouldn't force itself to keep like running over and over again, causing further issues, potentially creating more logs or creating more files, etc. So just a nice tip for that. And you can also see the internal IP address of the network that it's connected to in Docker, because Docker has its own internal network that it uses to create all of the containers. But like I said, let's get to the good stuff as well. We can go back to containers here. You can also even see that these quick actions here are also here, so you don't have to jump right into these, but let's go back. So you can have the logs here. This will show you exactly like what's running, all the ports and everything, and it's just going to give you a good overview of exactly like if there's any errors or anything that are happening, they will be here. So this is like a very great spot for troubleshooting and seeing if there's any conflicts with any links or any files that might not exist or whatnot. You'll always want to come here. Another good tip for logs is turning off the auto refresh and then setting the lines to something like 10,000 or something, and then just giving yourself room to scroll, or you want to have it refresh first. So then it pulls those, and then you'll want to turn it off. So then you just have, it might take a while. Maybe 10,000 was too big, but you'll want to refresh here. Yeah, you'll see it took a little while, but you'll end up having all of these logs to go through, which can be convenient. But if you have this auto refresh, it will keep bringing you back to the bottom and won't stay where you are. So it's best to turn this off when you're trying to read something. Another thing, we can go back. You'll see info, which just gives you this is pretty much a like JSON file or YAML file, I'm assuming, of just all of the apps configs and whatnot. You'll find like all of like the ports, the file paths, other like where was it pulled from, all of its icons, like all of like the little nitty gritty stuff about this app and whatnot will be here. You'll also be able to see some more network info, like, and some more logs and statistics, like how much usage has it had, like is it taking up a lot of memory, CPU usage. This is going to be good to see, like, hey, is this even worth having on my machine anymore? Like, do I even want to host this if it's going to take up so much space? Like, can I find an alternative to another source? Say, like, if you want to host like two different services, you can try one and then the other. See if one takes up a lot of space and causes some slowdowns on other services where this one is more lightweight. You can see that and kind of take it with a grain of salt as you're in here. But let's go back to containers. Another thing that can be very, very useful as well is when the container is up and running, you can shell right into it and actually like run commands. So like if I needed to do anything and like change any file paths or any like tinker with any data in there, you can, but you should also be able to just access it through like the config files from the path that you set in the containers. Let's go back. You can also I don't ever really do use this, but I'm assuming this is just I attach a console. Like I said, I don't really use this one too often. I'm just trying to get you set up with the basics, just so you know how to get around, how to really poke around, and really just get the Homelab up and running, because that's honestly like the most important part, in my opinion, is just getting up and running and learning on the go. You'll also see, like I said, the internal IP address from Docker and the published ports as well, and their mapped ports. But enough of just going over Portainer and like the actual container itself and its information. Let's build one. So first, you're probably like, what is Portainer? Like, how do I even get the apps? Where do I even do this? One thing that's nice about Portainer is that people go out of their way to create these massive databases essentially of pre-configured Docker compose files and Docker run files. And we use these to essentially just pretty much click, change the name of what you want, and run it, and it will deploy that Docker file or that Docker container. If you need to change anything, there are ways that you can like adjust some stuff here and there on certain containers and whatnot. But this is pretty much making it so if you see something that you like, you can click it, scroll to the top here, name the container, select a network, probably your bridge here, and then just maybe change some ports if you want. So you don't need this to go to 80. You can set it to like whatever. You can map this port to 2368 as well over here. Change the path file, hit deploy, and you're done. Another thing that's really nice is, like I said, there's other people out there that create their own. So right now in this one that we're seeing, it's more like business stuff and like enterprise applications. So what other people have done have created their own like sites or their own JSON files that have stored containers for us. So what we can do here is we will go to settings, general, and then you'll see here app templates, where we were before. App templates, applications, here. Go back to settings, general. The default value is this right here. I have one here specifically for Raspberry Pis and ARM specific devices. So not like like the AMD 64 processors and Docker containers. These are all just ARM specific. So like any one of these that you run should work with no issues whatsoever. If you find some that are AMD specific, that or like the AMD architecture specific, you might have a hard time running it. But this specific link, I'll have it linked in the description, will guarantee that you'll be able to run any of these applications. So now if I paste that in there and hit save application settings, go back here, you'll see it flips, boom, completely new set. We have AdGuard, which is an ad blocking software, Authelia and Authentic, which are ways to allow you to have two-factor authentication, and SSO when you're signing into your own like websites. Bazaar for grabbing subtitles for your home media server, Caddy for reverse proxy and such, Bookstack for wikis. All of these different awesome self-hosted tools that are open source and free to use. It's pretty much, like I said, click and run. It makes it super, super easy. So really, if we wanted to, let's choose something that I know is easy to run. Let's do a dashboard. Homepage. Oh, don't be doing this to me. Why are you doing this to me? So normally, like I showed at the previous ones, it would allow you to click and enter the information and run it there, but I don't know why that's being a problem. Able to get I'm going to do some troubleshooting and I'll be right back. All right, see, this is the whole point of home labbing and figuring this stuff out in not a work environment. So I found out what it was. I was using the version 2 link and not the version 3 link for my app template. So I grabbed the link from the GitHub and I slapped it in here. We'll post the updated link in the description. Save applications, settings, applications. Let's go back. Let's host Dashy instead because I'm sad. Bridge. Cool, cool. Deploy. Everything looks grand. Deploy. So now we normally just sit here and wait, and it will eventually deploy, and we will eventually be happy. Eventually. In the meantime, we can also start talking about how things will... Sorry. In the meantime, we can also start getting other containers set up and running as well, because we don't really have to wait. It's nice. One thing, or we do have to wait until this is done because Docker is in the process of running, but we can also just like use our time wisely. We don't have to sit here and stare at this progress bar like I am right now, but we can also just use the command line, and we can also just create our own templates. Like you see here how we have this big application template, super nice. I probably shouldn't have clicked that. I think I should be okay. Oops. Let's just right click custom here and then hope that containers. All right. Well, okay. All right, we're good. So, new template. Let's like get a new template. So, next template that I want to do, say I want to host a book server or start like just hosting EPUBs so I can put them on my Kindle and just get more use out of that kind of stuff. But let's just say Calibre is the server that I want to use. I'm going to name it Calibre. Put the description as like say like book server, platform, Linux, standalone, perfect. This looks great. And then what you can always do say is just like look up Calibre Docker compose file. Pray that someone has already done this for you. Perfect. You can do this. This one might be a little bit interesting to do. Let's see if we can find the Docker compose. Perfect. Docker compose file. It's like very plain basic setup. You'll just pretty much copy this and paste it in here essentially, but you'll obviously want to change some of the like where things are stored at, like here, path to Calibre config, all of this stuff, but I already have one copied and ready for my own use. Cool, and Dashy is already starting. So I went back to this tab. Everything's already good there. Let's just paste this in here. You'll see I have my own paths and everything set, time zones set, and create custom template. And then all I just do is create this. What do I name it? Calibre. Oh, should be a unique name, server. Deploy, and we let that run for a second. Boom, that was super quick. Containers, we now have a Calibre server ready to rock. Click on it. Oh, it's still probably starting. Oh no, see, another thing we can learn here. We go to click on the publish ports. What, how, why does this not work? Why am I not able to connect? Well, it's because you're not connecting to this specific IP. The way that we can do this to make these clickable and reach the server that you actually want, you can go to environment related, environments, find the environment that we're connected to. It's this local one here. And then you're just going to change this public IP to the local IP of your Raspberry Pi or whatever the device is. This could be any Unix device, literally any device that has Docker running on it. We could be doing the same thing. But then when we go back to containers, and now when I click on 8083, woohoo, Calibre, perfect. And then Dashy, it's still running over here. I can click on this and run, and it's still initializing. But we can see we're chugging along. We're getting the juices flowing. We're understanding how to get all of these services up and running. And another cool thing is, say if you can even run another, say like a Docker run command, like I have this one here. If you just run this in an SSH setting, so I'm as my Pi user in my Raspberry Pi, and I just slap this on here. Sorry, I forgot. I am not elevated. We're getting elevated here, fellers and lady fellers. So essentially, that was super quick. Now we just go back to Portainer, and look, Heimdall's already up and running. We can go to port 8080. Oh, this might not work. I don't, it might still be starting up. But we can see that it's already popping up over here. It's like super, super easy to get these up and running. It might be giving us some trouble just due to the port. Oh, nope, I clicked on Dashy. Wrong one. Heimdall. Everything looks like it's okay, but it doesn't want to allow us to connect. I'm wondering if it is due to the port. Oh, nope, it works. Cool. I just needed to give it a second. Wasn't patient, but you could see it's pretty straightforward. Now we have 3 different services that we didn't have before up and running. We have a whole set of templates that we can run through. You can get AdGuard, you can get Pi-hole, you can start getting a media automation server set up if you start doing some research on that with like some Sonar, Radar, Jellyfin, etc. Really, at this point, you have honestly unlimited resources to do whatever you want at this point. If you want to start exposing stuff, we can, and to the outer worlds, we can go over VPN settings, we can go over reverse proxy stuff, if that's something that we're into, and getting like DNS set up, if you want to have your own domain and share it out to the world to make it a little bit easier for people to find your stuff, like family and friends and whatnot, if you're going to share these services. But really, for the most part, that is all I have for going over container or Portainer. So pretty much getting the basic setup of setting up app templates, running through how to use those, creating your own custom templates. So in case you want to create, say, like a Minecraft server, and you want to have multiple Minecraft servers that all point to different places and people can use, you can use these and just be like, oh, cool, change it, name like Calibre server 2. I can't spell. And then etc. Just do that over and over again for whatever services that you want now that you have this ability. But yeah, I hope that this video was informative and helpful to anybody that was trying to just get away from using Docker in the CLI and wanted a graphical user interface, or anybody that was just having trouble using Portainer in general. I hope, like I said, this video helped, and please give it a like, subscribe, stay tuned for another one. I plan on, like I said, I have a whole book of ideas. It's just finding the time to do it. I sometimes just also get shy of camera and whatnot, but I'm going to give my best foot forward, or put my best foot forward, to continue making videos and making your Homelab journey a little bit easier. Peace.